It was a chilly evening in Washington, D.C. The streets were lightly covered with snow, and the air carried a crisp, cold bite. Jack sat in the corner of an old café, holding a cup of coffee, lost in his thoughts. His eyes held a deep sadness, reflecting the story of his broken heart. Jack and Emily had first met in this very café 3 years ago. Emily was cheerful, full of life, and had a radiant smile. Her eyes sparkled in a way that captivated Jack from the moment he saw her. She was an American girl, but her innocence and simplicity were the most precious things to Jack. In the beginning, they were just friends, but gradually, that friendship blossomed into love. Every moment they spent together, laughing, talking, seemed to slow down time. But life doesn't always go the way we want. One day, Emily told Jack that she had to move to New York with her family. Jack's heart shattered. He said to Emily, "I can't live without you, Emily." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she held Jack's hand and said, "Jack, love isn't always about being together. Sometimes we have to love each other from a distance." Jack couldn't say anything, tears streaming down his face. That night, they said goodbye to each other, but their hearts were already broken by the separation. Jack watched as Emily left for New York, the once bright spark in her eyes now dimmed. He knew their story was left incomplete, but he hoped that someday fate would bring them back together. But that day never came. Jack continued to visit the same cafe where they had spent the most beautiful moments of their lives. Each time, he felt the emptiness of his life without Emily. For Jack, time had come to a standstill. Every day, he would go to the same cafe where he and Emily used to spend hours together. But now, he was alone, and laughter and joy seemed to have vanished from his life. All he had left were his memories, and he found solace in them, thinking about Emily every moment. Days turned into months, and then years passed. Jack never reached out to Emily, and neither did she. But one day, when Jack went to New York to meet some old friends, he felt a faint hope that he might see Emily again. As he walked through the large and busy streets of New York, a small glimmer of hope flickered in his heart that perhaps fate would bring them together again. He tried searching for Emily everywhere, but he couldn't find any trace of her. Finally, one day, Jack mustered the courage to visit the cafe where Emily often used to go. The atmosphere of the cafe was still the same as it was years ago. Jack looked around, but Emily was nowhere to be seen. Disheartened, he sat in a corner when a waitress approached him and handed him a letter. The letter read, "Jack, I knew you would come here. I've decided to stay away from you forever. I'm married now, and I'm happy in my new life. I want you to move on too, and find happiness in your life. Our memories will always stay with me, but now we need to leave them behind and move forward." Tears welled up in Jack's eyes. He knew that the final journey of his hope had come to an end. He gently closed Emily's letter and took a deep breath. As Jack stepped out of the cafe, he took one last look at the place where his and Emily's love story had begun. He knew he had to move on, but the memories of Emily would always remain in his heart. Jack bid farewell to Emily in his heart and walked down a new path in life. There was a new light in his eyes, as if he had found himself again. But deep down, Jack was left with one lingering question. Can unfinished love stories ever truly be completed? The story ends here, but the memories of Jack and Emily will always live on, in their hearts and in this story.